Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to be discussing all of the latest news and reveals in regards to Transformers, and July is just a month that just keeps giving. It's been so busy in regards to leaks and reveals, and I think it's only about to get even busier, especially considering that San Diego Comic-Con is just around the corner, and with that we'll no doubt finally see that Alpha Trion and Orion Pax 2-pack as being the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. We're also expecting to see some reveals for Transformers Legacy Wave 3, Transformers Earthspark, that brand new Nickelodeon TV show, and hopefully some Transformers live-action Michael Bay studio series figures, especially considering that this month does mark 15 years since the release of the original 2007 live-action Transformers movie, and we've actually got some studio series figures to talk about in today's video. So yeah, a lot to get through. So we'll kickstart things off with some of the leaked listings via Amazon. These pretty much confirm some of the deluxes that we're expecting to see, I believe, for Wave 3, so for those of you who just want to save these until we actually get the official reveals next week, be sure to skip this part of the video, but they're characters that we've already known were coming out. And to start things off, we are expecting to see a deluxe class Point Blank, and surprisingly he shall include the Target Master Peacemaker. Now personally, I can't recall where a mainline deluxe has ever actually included a Target Master as an accessory, so I am wondering as to whether or not Point Blank is going to be on the slightly shorter side. Maybe he's going to have a simplistic conversion. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but it does state that he will transform into a Cybertronian race car, so this guy definitely sounds pretty awesome. We're also expecting to see deluxe class Dead End. We knew this guy was coming, especially when we got Dragstrip, Wild Rider, and of course Motormaster, so this is going to be another Stunticon. Definitely looking forward to seeing some official images of him. I am hoping that he's not just going to be a retool of one of the previous Stunticons and that he will be a brand new mold, but I imagine we'll find out sooner rather than later. And the figure of which took me the most by surprise is the deluxe class Skullgrin. Now originally Skullgrin was a pretender shell, and we've already seen a variation of a pretender in Legacy, that being the core class Iguanus, which personally I thought was a fantastic figure and was a great reimagining of those characters, and Skullgrin sounds exactly the same. This is going to be a slight departure when in comparison to the original pretender toys, but I think for the better. This guy will be a deluxe class in comparison to Iguanus, which was a core class, so I'm expecting big things from this guy because Iguanus was amazing for the price point, so Skullgrin should be even better than that figure, and he will actually transform into a Cybertronian tank, and his steps of conversion include 20 steps, so he's definitely going to be a sophisticated figure. One thing which I'm actually really intrigued to see are his two weapons. It does state here in the official description that they can be held by the figure either as blasters or as swords, so are they going to be cross-compatible? I really guess we'll just have to wait and see. It also mentions that in terms of features, he will have a fully rotatable turret, which I think sounds pretty awesome, so Skullgrin definitely looking to be, at least for me, the highlight out of Wave 3 Deluxe, and we already got the official reveals for the Voyagers, which will be Inferno, Armada Starscream, and then leader class, as we've known for quite some time, will be their upcoming Dragon Megatron, which actually sounds really awesome, and this time next week we may in fact actually have an official image of him. Then we jump in to this brand new Transformers Studio Series Core Class 86 Wheelie. I'm not too sure whereabouts this guy's going to come out, as I think the next core class to coincide with the Sideways and Galvatron mold will be Laserbeak and 86 Ratchet, so maybe Wheelie will be a part of that wave, or perhaps he'll come out later. This was also a figure that we knew was coming. I was actually intrigued to see as to how he would turn out, and if I'm going to be 100% honest, just from judging by this 360 turntable, I really do not like what I'm seeing at all. I think this is a bad core class figure, especially considering that we actually got an almost Legends slash core class figure by DNA Design, which personally I think has a much better looking robot mode when in comparison to this release. I just think the arms are off. There's just something about them that doesn't look too great. Of course it is a major improvement when in comparison to that pre-pose Wheelie that came out with the Studio Series Grimlock, but comparing it to the Wheelie that we saw by DNA Design, I do not think it's all that great, and he's got this massive butt kibble. This thing looks ridiculous. It really does remind me of the Cyberverse Deluxe RC, which had pretty much all of the vehicle mode junk just hanging out of her butt, so I am hoping that this is mistransformed, but judging by these images, it does just appear to be the way this guy transforms. I will say the vehicle mode looks good. I think the vehicle mode on this figure is actually a bit better when in comparison to the DNA Design release, but as you guys know, I prioritize robot mode any day of the week over the vehicle mode, so I am hoping that at least in hand that butt kibble can be slightly manipulated, as from these images it's not looking too great. He will include his sling, which was also an accessory we saw first time round with Grimlock, and I guess the head sculpt looks decent, but so far for core class this is looking to be one of the weakest. And some of the most exciting news, at least for me being a massive fan of the live action Michael Bay movies, is that we're actually going to be getting a Transformers Studio Series 2007 15th Anniversary Multipack, which will basically consist of every single Autobot that we saw in that original 2007 movie. I'm not too sure why they aren't calling this the Autobot Arrival Pack, as that is what basically it is. It does include Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Ironhide, Ratchet, and Jazz, and these are all pre-existing figures that we've seen previously, but this time with new decos, slight variations when in comparison to their original counterparts, and at long last, a Studio Series Michael Bay Ironhide reissue. I know there are so many of you guys out there that sadly missed that figure first time round, and it's undeniably one of the biggest highlights that we've seen from Studio Series, so it's amazing that it is going to be seeing a reissue. I know there'll be some out there that are complaining that in order to get this you have to buy the multi-pack, but when you take into account some of the aftermarket prices that this Ironhide is going for just on his own, I really do think this multi-pack as a whole is more than worth it. I saw some listings which actually put Ironhide between 100 to 150, and I believe retail this thing's going to go for 140, 150 for 5 figures, so definitely if you've missed out on Ironhide, it's a no-brainer to pick this up. And Ironhide isn't, at least for me, the major star of the show, as there are some pretty decent repaints. Now, we'll very quickly go over the backdrop. I thought this was really cool. So on one side of the backdrop, you're going to have that alleyway where the Autobots first transform in that 2007 movie. An amazing scene, undeniably one of the most unforgettable moments in the live-action Transformers movie history, but you can actually flip it around to showcase Sam Witwicky's parents' house, which I think is awesome, especially considering that we're seeing all 5 Autobots. This is where they all kind of gather just after they've transformed. I think it's going to create for a really cool diorama, and here we have an image of the front of the box. It does appear, just by going off the official image that we have of the box, that they'll be using a mix of official CGI images and then some concept art, as that Optimus Prime definitely does look very conceptualized, but overall looking awesome. We've got the 15th anniversary logo slap bang at the top, the same logo that we've seen with the MPM Blackout box, so I am hoping that we can also see this featured on future merchandise, considering that we're getting a 5-pack of the Autobots. Here's hoping that we can actually see a 5-pack of the Decepticons, as I think that would be really cool, as I also know there were some of you guys out there that weren't able to pick up some of those original Studio Series figures such as Brawl. I think Barricade is quite difficult to track down now, and of course you even got the 2007 Megatron, but I guess you could pick up the premium finish version if you missed out on that. And here we have some close-up images of these actual figures. So to kick things off, here we have the leader of the Autobots himself, Optimus Prime. Now one thing I'm noticing with this is they're actually using the superior Studio Series 32 Optimus, but actually giving him the SS-05 arm blades, as I don't believe we actually see the dual cannons in the first movie. I know he uses one of them to shoot at Megatron, but it's a slight variation when in comparison to what he actually uses in Revenge of the Fallen, so I think this is great. For those of you who missed out on SS-32, this is going to be an amazing opportunity to pick this figure up. I know that that figure goes for astronomical prices on the aftermarket, much like Ironhide, so yet again another great opportunity in owning this mold, and I personally have always been a big fan of the arm blades, so it's great to see them reintroduced here with this guy. I do like the paint, especially where the upper torso is concerned. However, sadly the lower legs just look way too plain. I think what they've decided not to do is paint the inside of the legs blue. I am hoping that's something that changes when this actually gets officially released, considering that this is an almost premium box set. It would be nice to get the definitive versions of these characters completely painted up as they appeared in the movie, but other than the missing paint apps for the inside of the legs, I think this guy looks awesome. He actually has a lot more silver where that robot mode is concerned when in comparison to the original release, so that's definitely something worth noting. Here we have an image of Ironhide, the figure that I know many of you guys will be clamoring for, and for good reason. For the most part he looks identical. The only areas of which I can see that are different would be the thighs. For some reason they've decided to give him a mix of grey and black, whereas primarily the figure does appear to be cast out of black plastic, so I'm not too sure why they've made the midsection of the thigh grey. To me it looks slightly peculiar. I'm hoping in person it looks a little better, and much like some of the original CG renders that we saw for the original Ironhide, they have actually painted the feet in metallic silver this time round, which is a lot better when in comparison to just the standard black that we saw on the original release. Overall looking cool. The cannons are painted just as nicely as they were originally. The head sculpt looks fantastic. It's an amazing figure. It would have been cool had they found a way to have maybe compressed that bumper, taken some cues from DNA Design, but if we ever do see this guy individually released, perhaps as a Dark of the Moon variant, I am hoping that much like Grindor, etc., they will make some slight modifications to the mold just to really perfect it. But yeah, Ironhide looking awesome. Here we have an image of Bumblebee, which much like Optimus is also pretty cool, as he's kind of an amalgamation of both versions of Bumblebee. So for those who recall, the first time we actually saw this 2007 Camaro Bumblebee, he had the battle mask, which isn't his classic look. Everybody knows Bumblebee as having those big puppy dog hedgehog eyes, and that's exactly what they've given us here with this version. They've basically ripped off the Clunker Bumblebee head sculpt, the unmasked version, and put it on the 2007 body, which I think is great. This looks awesome. I'm loving what I'm seeing. Not a huge fan of the grey feet that we've got going on. Personally, I think the black looks a lot better, like we've seen with some of the previous versions, and the actual yellow section that goes over the top of the toe hasn't been painted, but still, this is a cool looking figure. Here we have an image of Ratchet, and they've actually kind of slipped in the premium finish version, I noticed. This guy's actually got a lot more paint where that head sculpt is concerned, which was an area that was in a major need of a makeover first time round. So that's awesome to see, but with the face being painted, I am noticing that the shoulders where the light bars are have gone unpainted, so you lose some, you win some, but the head is a lot more important, at least in my opinion, when in comparison to a few faux headlights. And then here we have an image of Jazz. Now, out of all of them, he appears to be the one that is basically just a straight up repaint. If anything, they've decided to go for a slightly darker, almost gunmetal silver where the vehicle mode is concerned, which is more accurate to the movie. Jazz was a very dark grey in the film and was nowhere near as metallic silver as we saw first time round. This is a great mold, really, really good to get him once again reintroduced into the Studio Series line, and he looks fantastic. We've also got an entire group shot of all of these guys in the vehicle mode, and it does just showcase that Ratchet will actually have all of his rims fully decked out in silver, which was something that we never saw first time round, and he'll still have all of that fantastic lifeline detail that we saw on the original release. He does sadly only include his buzzsaw and not his actual arm cannon. It would have been super cool had they given him the arm cannon instead of the buzzsaw, much like we saw with Optimus where they reversed the weapons for his previous release. But still, overall looking to be a fantastic set. I'm definitely going to be picking it up for not only completionist reasons, but it's a piece of history. The Autobot arrival scene is an amazing scene, one of the best scenes out of the live action movie, and some of these figures, in my opinion, look really, really well done. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Is the multi-pack something that you guys plan on adding to the collection? Would you guys like to see a Decepticon version of this? And considering that we're getting a 15th anniversary pack for the 2007 movie, can we expect something similar when Revenge of the Fallen rolls around, or Dark of the Moon rolls around? You know, the 15th anniversary for Revenge of the Fallen is only 2 years away, so we could get a multi-pack of some of those Autobots and Decepticons. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, but definitely stay tuned for more news coming next week. Really excited by the majority of these reveals, but I do sadly think that core class Wheelie is massively lacking. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.